The oven door slammed shut like a judge's gavel, sealing David's fate in a hiss of steam and scorched regret. His hands, still dusted with flour from the morning's rye loaves, trembled as Mr. Hargrove's voice sliced through the kitchen air. "You're done here, boy. Folks like you don't belong in a place like this eating good Christian bread with your filth." In that instant, the world David had kneaded into shape for 5 years crumbled, leaving him staring at the man who'd been like a father, now a stranger wielding shame like a rolling pin to the gut. David's heart pounded as he untied his apron, the fabric whispering against his skin like a lover's goodbye. The bakery Hargrove's hearth, tucked in the heart of Elmwood, Ohio, had been his sanctuary, where the scent of yeast and vanilla masked the loneliness of small-town secrets. But secrets had a way of rising, just like dough, and his had fermented too long. It started with whispers, a stolen glance at the county fair, a hand brushed too long with Alex, the delivery boy with eyes like summer corn. Now, those whispers had baked into accusations, fueled by a viral photo from Pride in Columbus, where David had dared to wave a flag without hiding. Hargrove's face twisted, not with anger alone, but with the fear of losing customers, of the town's Bible study group boycotting the scones their wives pretended not to crave. He grabbed his jacket from the hook, the one with the faint stain from that time he'd burned the challah during a late-night call from his sister, begging him to come home after her latest divorce. "Please, sir," David whispered, his voice cracking like overworked pastry. "I've given everything to this place. The recipes, the horse. No one's prouder of these walls than me." Hargrove turned away, muttering about morals and miracles. But David saw the flicker in his eyes, guilt, buried under layers of denial. As the back door clicked shut behind him, the autumn chill bit into his bones, and Elmwood's main street stretched out like an accusation, lined with shops that had once felt like family. David walked home in a daze, the 2 miles blurring into a montage of what-ifs. What if he'd never posted that photo? What if Alex hadn't smiled back that one rainy afternoon, their fingers lingering over a crate of apples? Alex, God. Alex. They hadn't even kissed yet, just shared dreams over coffee in the break room, talking about escaping to Chicago where the world didn't judge your flour-smeared cheeks. Now, that dream tasted like ash. His tiny apartment above the laundromat smelled of stale bagels and regret when he pushed inside, collapsing onto the bed where posters of Parisian pâtisseries mocked his failure. Sleep came in fits, haunted by the rhythm of kneading dough he'd never touch again. By dawn, resolve hardened in him like cooled ganache. He wouldn't beg. He wouldn't break. Instead, he'd rise. Grabbing his laptop, David scoured job sites. But Elmwood's listings were barren for a baker with a scarlet letter sewed to his soul. Then, an email pinged from his old college buddy. "Mia, a finance whiz in Cleveland, heard about the drama. You okay? And hey, remember that investor pitch you joked about? I'm serious. No, let's turn your recipes into gold." Mia's call that afternoon was a lifeline. "David, your cinnamon twists. They're legendary. We crowdfund. You bake. I handle the numbers. Screw Hargrove, build your own empire." Her voice, fierce and unapologetic, cracked his shell. By evening, they'd sketched a plan, a pop-up stand at the farmer's market, Online orders shipped nationwide. Stories of resilience to hook the heartstrings. But capital. That was the yeast missing from the mix. David pawned his grandfather's watch, the one etched with "Rise Above," and poured savings into ingredients. His first batch, baked in a borrowed church kitchen, irony noted, sold out in hours. Whispers turning to cheers from the queer kids who'd heard his tale. Word spread like wildfire through Elmwood's underbelly. The local LGBTQ center buzzed with volunteers icing cupcakes for the cause. And Alex. He showed up at the market with a truckload of free produce. His grin shy but steady. "Couldn't let you do this alone," he said, handing over a bushel of peaches that smelled like possibility. Their fingers brushed. Electric. And for the first time since the firing, David felt heat that wasn't from an oven. Weeks blurred into a frenzy of dough and doubt. David's pop-up thrived. Lines snaking down the block for his lavender-infused brioche. Each bite a quiet rebellion. Reviews poured in. "Tastes like freedom," one wrote. But Hargrove's shadow loomed. The old man slashed prices. Badmouthed David to suppliers. Even spread rumors of tainted goods from a deviant hand. One night, as David scrubbed counters till his knuckles bled, Alex pulled him into a hug that lingered too long to be friendly. "You're shaking," Alex murmured, his breath warm against David's neck. "Let me help carry this." In the dim light of the borrowed kitchen, confessions spilled like overproofed batter. Alex admitted he'd loved David since that first delivery, terrified of the town's glare. David, voice raw, shared the ache of hiding, the fear that love would always curdle under scrutiny. Their lips met tentatively, then fiercely, a kiss tasting of salt and sugar, sealing a pact against the world. From then on, Alex was there at dawn, chopping fruit while David shaped loaves, their laughter a counterpoint to the grind. Momentum built. Mia's crowdfunding hit 6 figures. Strangers moved by David's Instagram Reels videos of him piping rainbows onto cookies, captioning them, "Baked with pride, delivered with heart." Investors nibbled, then bit. But the real twist came at the Elmwood Harvest Festival, where Hargrove's booth dwarfed David's humble tent. Crowds flocked to the hearth for nostalgia, but eyes drifted to the newcomer, drawn by the scent of David's signature bourbon pecan pie. A scuffle broke out when Hargrove's son, Tommy, a bully with a badge from the local Pete, shoved Alex, snarling, "Stay away from decent folk." David stepped in, flour flying like snow in a storm. "This is my booth. My bread. Touch him, and you're out." The crowd hushed, then erupted in applause as Tommy backed down, red-faced. That night, sales tripled, and a reporter from the Columbus Dispatch snapped photos. Headlines brewing. Fired baker rises from the ruins. Empowered, David eyed the prize, buying out Hargrove's hearth. The old man was drowning in debt, his boycott backfiring as loyalists defected to David's stand. With Mia's network, David secured a loan, the papers signing like a vow. Closing day, he walked into the bakery not as employee, but owner. Hargrove sat at the counter, defeated, the air thick with unsaid sorries. "You win, kid," Hargrove grumbled, sliding keys across the scarred wood. But David saw the plea in his eyes, the unspoken fear of irrelevance. "It's not about winning. David said softly, sliding a fresh loaf toward him. It's about breaking bread. Sit. Eat. As Hargrove tore into the crust, tears mixing with crumbs, David felt the weight lift. This wasn't vengeance. It was reclamation. The town would heal, one slice at a time. The days following the handover blurred into a symphony of hammers and hope. David stood in the bakery's heart, sunlight slanting through windows he'd scrubbed clean of years of grease, envisioning shelves groaning under loaves that whispered stories of survival. Alex was at his side, sleeves rolled up, painting the walls a soft butter yellow like sunrise after a storm. He'd said, his hand lingering on David's waist. Their romance unfolded in stolen moments, a quick kiss amid rising dough, fingers tracing flower patterns on each other's arms like secret tattoos. But love in Elmwood was a tightrope, and the town below held pitchforks ready. First challenge, the staff. Most of Hargrove's old crew had scattered like startled pigeons, but a few lingered loyal to the bricks, wary of the change. Sarah, the cashier with laugh lines deep as pie crimps, eyed David suspiciously over her coffee. Heard stories, she muttered. You gonna turn this into some Rainbow Factory? David met her gaze, unflinching. No. I'm turning it into a home. For everyone who walks through that door hungry for food, for belonging. He handed her an apron, embroidered with her name. Slowly, trust fermented. By week's end, Sarah was piping pride flags onto sugar cookies for a trial run, chuckling at her own hypocrisy. Suppliers were trickier. The flour mill owner, a deacon with a grudge, cut deliveries short. Can't in good conscience, he drawled over the phone. David drove to the mill himself, rain lashing his windshield like accusations. Inside, the air hummed with grinders, and he found the man tallying sacks. I get it, David said, voice steady. Fear's a hell of a mixer. But my bread's fed your grandkids for years. Judge the taste, not the baker. He left to sample his cardamom babka, wrapped warm. 2 days later, trucks rumbled up, full loads. Small victories stacked like cordwood. Alex's presence grounded him. Nights after closing, they'd collapse on the apartment floor David's now shared with takeout and dreams. Chicago, Alex would tease, nuzzling his neck. Or we make Elmwood ours. David's heart swelled, but shadows lingered. His phone buzzed with hate mail, slurs from anonymous accounts. Threats scrawled on the bakery door. One evening, as they locked up, a brick shattered the window. Sinner etched in red paint. Alex pulled David close, fury in his eyes. We fight this together. The community center became their war room. There, amid rainbow banners and youth group meetings, David shared his story at open mic nights. Kids with braces and hidden crushes listened wide-eyed as he spoke of ovens as altars, where pain rose into something nourishing. Donations trickled in, not just cash, but hands, a retired carpenter fixing the door, a barista from the diner loaning her van for deliveries. Mia jetted in for strategy sessions, her laptop a whirlwind of spreadsheets. You're not just baking bread, she said, clinking glasses of cheap wine. You're needing a revolution. Romance deepened amid the chaos. On a crisp October evening, David blindfolded Alex and led him to the woods behind town, where they'd first confessed under starlight. A picnic blanket held his latest creation, heart-shaped hand pies, filled with cherry and a note inside, "You make my world rise." Alex's laugh bubbled free, pulling David down for a kiss that tasted of forever. But as leaves crunched under them, a distant siren wailed Tommy Hargrove's patrol car, circling like a vulture. "He's watching," Alex whispered. David nodded, resolve hardening. Love wasn't blind. It was a beacon, drawing out the darkness to be faced. Business boomed. David's menu evolved, redemption rolls, soft and pillowy, symbolizing second chances, ally slices, hearty loaves for those learning to stand beside. Online orders surged. Packages winged to coasts where stories like his sparked fires. A podcast interview went viral, the baker who rose from homophobic ashes, and suddenly, Elmwood was a pin on maps of queer tourism. Tourists snapped selfies with the "Kneel for Bread" sign David hung ironically outside, a nod to the title his life now wore. But Hargrove lurked. The old man haunted the diner across the street, nursing coffees and glares. One afternoon, he shuffled in, hat in hand. "Need a word, son?" David's pulse raced, but he poured coffee strong as his spine. "About the lease on the storage shed." Hargrove grumbled. "You're late." It was a lie. A probe. David slid a scone his way. "Eat first, then talk." As Hargrove bit in, nostalgia softened his scowl. "Tastes like better days." David leaned in. "We can have those again, if you let go of the shame." Hargrove left without signing, but the door didn't slam. Tensions peaked at the town hall meeting. A petition circulated spearheaded by the Diaconto revoked David's business license, citing moral decay. The room packed, air thick as unbaked bread. Tommy stood, badge gleaming, railing about family values. David took the mic, voice trembling but true. "This bakery fed your weddings, your funerals. It doesn't care who bakes it, as long as it's with heart. Judge me. Fine. But don't starve your souls." Applause rippled, then roared, drowning the nays. The vote failed, 3-1. That night, wrapped in Alex's arms, David wept not from pain, but release. "We're building something real," Alex murmured, tracing his jaw. Outside, snow dusted the rooftops, blanketing Elmwood in possibility. Winter wrapped Elmwood in a hush of frost, turning the bakery windows into canvases of etched ferns. David woke before dawn, Alex's steady breathing a rhythm beside him, and slipped downstairs to fire the ovens. The routine anchored him, measuring flour by feel, the soft plop of eggs, the alchemy of heat transforming humble grains into sustenance. But lately, a new ingredient stirred doubt, subtle as a cracked shell. Success brought eyes, and not all gentle. Protests simmered outside, picket signs bobbing like buoys in a hostile sea. "God hates Sodom's sweets." Alex noticed first. Over breakfast, croissants flaky as their whispered plans. "You're pulling away," he said, thumb brushing David's knuckles. "Talk to me." David sighed, the weight of it all pressing like a proofing basket. What if it's too much? The town. The stairs exposed. Alex. Like raw dough before the bake. Alex's eyes, blue as Ohio skies, held steady. Then we rise together. Stronger. Their kiss sealed it. Fierce and flowery. A reminder that love wasn't fragile. It was the leaven in his veins. Mia arrived with reinforcements, a marketing plan laced with viral potential. Document everything, she urged, camera in hand. The struggles. The triumphs turned pain into power. David hesitated, camera shy. But Alex coaxed him, a reel of dawn kneading. Captioned, from fired to fired up. Views exploded. Shares from allies nationwide. Donations flooded. Enough for expansions, a coffee bar. Classes for at-risk youth teaching baking as therapy. One student, Jamia, a trans teen with hands steadier than his voice, apprenticed under David. Their bond a quiet bridge over generational chasms. Hargrove's interference escalated. Anonymous reviews tanked ratings, poisoned by perversion. Suppliers wavered again. One citing pressure from the church. David confronted the mill owner at his home, pie in hand as peace offering. The man, weathered as old wheat, invited him in. Over tea. Truths tumbled, Hargrove's leaning on me. Says it'll ruin my soul. David nodded, seeing the man's own fractures, a son lost to AIDS in the 80s. Unspoken grief. Bread doesn't judge souls, David said gently. It feeds them. The man wept, then recommitted deliveries. Whispers spread, even the deacon softened, ordering halal for his daughter's bat mitzvah. Romance wove deeper threads. Valentine's loomed, and David plotted in secret, a custom cake for Alex. Layers of chocolate and raspberry mirroring their layered lives. But fate needed twists. Tommy Hargrove pulled Alex over one icy night. Taillights flashing like warnings. David raced to the station, heart in throat, finding Alex cuffed to a bench. Lip split. Loitering. Tommy sneered. Or was it soliciting? Rage boiled in David, but he channeled it cool. Charge him. Or release. But know this, Elmwood's watching. Bystander soft-duty cops. Even murmured dissent. Tommy uncuffed him. Seething. The incident ignited fury. Protests flipped, supporters lined the bakery, chanting bread for all. Media swarmed. A CNN crew capturing the standoff. David went live on social. Voice breaking, this isn't about me. It's about every kid hiding in Elmwood, dreaming of a table where they belong. The clip hit millions. Sponsors calling Mia fielded offers for book deals. TV spots. But fame's yeast puffed egos. Alex grew distant. Shadows of his own past surfacing. I can't be the poster boy, he confessed one night. Rain pattering the roof. My family's already disowned me once. David pulled him close, their bodies fitting like puzzle pieces worn smooth. Then be mine. Quietly. Loudly, whatever you need. They made love slow. Deliberate. Mapping scars with lips and fingers. Reaffirming that vulnerability was the richest filling. Morning brought clarity. Alex proposed a joint venture. His farm fresh produce branded with David's bakery. Partners in every way. He grinned. ringless but real. Spring thawed the town. The Harvest Festival redux drew record crowds. David's booth a carnival of colors, rainbow macarons. Ally apple tarts. Hargrove appeared, gaunt in the throng, clutching a cane. Brought something, he rasped, handing a faded ledger. My debts. Paid in full by you. Unknowingly. It was his confession, the firing. A desperate bid to save the business from his own mismanagement. I shamed you to hide my shame. David froze, then embraced him. The old man's sobs muffled in his shoulder. Bake with me, David whispered. Redeem us both. Hargrove nodded. Tentative. That night, grandfather and prodigal shaped dough side by side. Silence speaking volumes. Elmwood exhaled, fractures mending like cooled glaze. Summer sun baked Elmwood golden, turning the bakery into a haven of cool stone floors and iced lattes. David expanded the menu with seasonal whims, blueberry basil scones, evoking lazy afternoons with Alex in the fields, hands stained purple from picking. Their life intertwined like Vine's morning's joint, evenings tangled in sheets that smelled of vanilla and earth. But prosperity bred envy. Tommy Hargrove, demoted after the station scandal, nursed grudges at the bar, plotting with fringe elements, a clean-bred coalition. Flyers decrying the bakery as a gateway to sin. The first sabotage hit subtle, rats in the flour bins. Staged to look accidental. Health inspector, a cousin of Tommy shivered. Clipboard poised. David caught her sampling a tart. Eyes closing in bliss. Find what you need, he asked mildly. She flushed, stamping approval. But whispers grew, boycotts at church potlucks. Parents steering kids away. Alex's farm suffered 2 vandalized fences. Bruised produce. They're coming for us, he said, bandaging a cut hand from barbed wire. David rallied. Community baking nights filled the shop, families rolling dough. Stories shared over cooling racks. Jamie, now confident, led a youth group, teaching non-binary kids to pipe their truths in frosting. One evening, a girl named Really Y died. With a backpack full of hidden flags confided. You make me believe I can stay. David's throat tightened. He hugged her. Flower blooming on her shirt like courage. Mia's big break landed, a partnership with a national chain. Scouting David's recipes for urban outposts. You're franchising hope. She beamed over Zoom. But David wavered. Elmwood first. He poured profits into scholarships, funding trips to Pride for local queer youth. Alex beamed pride. Their love a quiet anchor. Yet tension simmered. One humid night, as thunder rumbled, Tommy cornered David in the alley. Think you're a hero. You're ruining families. His fist connected, knuckles grazing jaw. David tasted blood, but stood tall. Hit me again. And it's assault on camera. A hidden dashcam. Alex's idea flashed red. The video leaked. Tommy's rage captured raw. Backlash swift, petitions for his badge. Town council meetings electric. Hargrove Sr. testified. Voice quavering, my boy's wrong. David's family now. Redemption's arc bent toward light. Tommy resigned, fleeing to Cincinnati, tail between legs. With space to breathe. David and Alex escaped to the lake. A weekend unplugged. Canoeing at dusk. Water lapping like applause. Alex turned serious. "Marry me?" he asked. Ring fashioned from twisted wiregrass. David's yes was a sob, sealed with a dive into cool depths. Back home, they planned quietly a courthouse thing, then a bakery reception, cakes towering like dreams. Fall painted leaves fiery, mirroring inner fires. The bakery thrived, a beacon. But a letter arrived from David's estranged mother. Postmarked Florida. "Saw you on TV. Proud. Finally." Enclosed. A check sizable. From his late father's estate. Tears blurred ink. Alex held him through the night. "She's reaching," Alex said. David nodded. Dialing. Their call. Halting then flowing. Mended rifts like patched dough. She promised a visit. Eyes open. Hargrove integrated. His gnarled hands steady on mixers. "Teach me that rainbow bread," he gruffed one day. David laughed, showing him. Father-son vibes emerged. Hargrove sharing tales of his own hidden you the crush on the miller's boy. Buried deep. Regrets the sourdough, he admitted. David forgave. Fully. The weight lifting like steam. Thanksgiving loomed. Tables set for healing. David baked a spread, Turkish delights for diverse palates, symbolizing unity. Invites went wide. Church elders, center kids, even the deacon. As forks clinked, toasts rose to second chances, to bread that binds. Outside, snow fell soft, blanketing scars. The new year dawned crisp, Elmwood shedding old skins like molted crust. David's bakery record rise and knee pulsed with life, espresso machines hissing symphonies, laughter echoing off repainted walls. Alex's produce stand merged in, a farm-to-table corner bursting with heirloom tomatoes and edible flowers for garnishes. Their engagement buzzed quietly. Ring's simple gold bands exchanged in a dawn ceremony by the oven. Vows scented with yeast. To every rise, Alex murmured, slipping the band on. David's heart overflowed, a proofing bowl brimming. But growth invited storms. National spotlight intensified. A documentary crew from PBS arrived. Mics shadowing David's every need. Authentic vulnerability. The director cooed. David obliged. Sharing firing footage. Grainy phone video. Mia had archived his voice raw. Shame tried to flatten me. Love puffed me back. Clips aired. Empathy surging. Book offers piled. Loaves of liberation. A memoir blending recipes and resilience. Mia negotiated. Proceeds earmarked for a queer youth bakery camp. Challenges needed in. A rival chain eyed Elmwood. Whispers of buyouts. Their CEO. Slick as oiled tin. Lunched at Rise and Need. Pitching millions. Corporate polish for your rustic charm. David eyed him over coffee. Charms in the cracks where stories live. He declined. But the offer lingered. Temptation's whisper. Alex sensed it. During a late-night inventory. We're enough, he said, pulling David onto a flour sack pile. Their lovemaking was urgent. Reclaiming. Bodies affirming what dollars couldn't buy. Community deepened. Baking classes evolved. Trauma tarts for survivors. where whisking whipped away woes. Jamie mintered, his transition celebrated with a custom cake layers of blue, pink, white. Riley came out at a class, hugged by all. Hargrove, now Gramps to the kids, grumbled but grinned, his cane tapping rhythms to mixers. One afternoon, he pulled David aside. Wrote my will. Bakery's yours fully. Emotion choked David. The old man clapped his shoulder. Earned it, son. Mother's visit thawed final ice. Evelyn arrived hesitant, floral dress clashing with her nerves. Alex charmed her with farm stories, while David baked her favorite lemon bars. Tart is their history. Over tea, truths surfaced, her silence during the firing, born of fear for her own standing. I failed you, she whispered. David forgave, tears salting the sugar. Rise from it, Mom. Like me. She stayed weeks, volunteering, eyes opening to rainbows she'd once shunned. Spring brought the camp's inaugural session, teens from across Ohio. Bunked in tents, ovens roaring. David taught fundamentals, Alex forging hikes. Bonfires crackled with confessions, marshmallows toasting like hearts. One boy, mirroring young David, baked his first loaf tear-streaked. For my dad who won't understand. David hugged him. He will. Someday. Sabotage echoed faintly, a homophobic hack on the website. Orders scrambled. But firewalls literal and figurative held. Media frenzy peaked with the doc premiere, red carpet in Columbus. David and Alex arm in arm. Flashes blinding. Reviews glowed, a triumph of tenderness. Backlash hissed online, but supporters drowned it kneel for bread trending. Summer solstice. They hosted a wedding, Jamie's, to his partner, under bakery arches draped in wildflowers. Vows echoed David's own, in flower and fire. I choose you. Guests feasted on towering cakes. Joy infectious. Hargrove danced awkwardly, Evelyn beaming beside him. As fireflies winked, David pulled Alex to the roof. Town lights sprawling below. We did it, he breathed. Alex kissed his temple. We're just starting. Autumn winds carried change, leaves swirling like discarded drafts of old recipes. Rise and Need anchored Elmwood's revival, a community hub, hosting everything from AA meetings to drag brunches. David's memoir launched to acclaim. Pages scented faintly of print ink and vanilla'd insisted on recipe inserts. Signings drew lines. Fans sharing scars. Your story baked mine whole. Royalties funded expansion's second location in Columbus. Queer-led. Alex's farm flourished. CSA boxes bursting with organics. Their home, a fixer-upper on the outskirts, bloomed herb gardens. A porch swing for sunset talks. Marriage plans solidified not grand, but true, a harvest moon ceremony. Fields as cathedral. Invites whispered to intimates, Mia as best woman. Jamie officiant in training. Hargrove and Evelyn toasting with cider. Yet undercurrents stirred. National politics soured. Anti-LGBT bills brewing in Columbus. Protests reignited locally. Clean bread, remnants picketing anew. One Saturday, eggs splattered the door. Yolks dripping like accusations. David cleaned methodically, Alex fuming beside. Call the cops. David shook head. No. Bake through it. He whipped meringues instead. Stiff peaks defying gravity. The documentary's ripple hit deeper. Old flames resurfaced, David's college ex. A journalist's sniffing scandal. Emailing digs. Exposed truths. Alex read. Jealousy flickering. David laughed it off. But insecurity rose like humidity. That night, over dinner, truths aired. You're mine now? David vowed, hands cupping Alex's face. Past just burnt edges toss him. Lovemaking followed. Tender. Reaffirming roots. Hargrove's health faltered, a fall. Hip cracked like porcelain. David visited the hospital. Room sterile as doubt. Don't fuss. The old man wheezed. But David brought pie. Smuggling comfort. Stories flowed Hargrove's youth. Love's unspoken. Wish I'd baked braver. He admitted. David squeezed his hand. You are now? Recovery brought Hargrove home. Lighter duties, tasting. Tale-telling to kids. Evelyn stayed permanent. Apartment above the shop. Her transformation awed, volunteering at the center. Knitting pride scarves. Better late. She quipped. David hugged her often. Mending threads. Camp's second year swelled. Teens arriving bolder. A girl from Appalachia baked a defiance Danish. Flaky and fierce. Bonfire circles healed, one shared suicide attempt. Held by hands. David spoke of his firing's abyss. How Alex's light pulled him up. Loves the oven hot. But it transforms. Fall festival climaxed the season. Booths brimmed. Rise and Need Central. A debate stage hosted, Deacon versus David. Moderated fare. Morality in markets. The Deacon probed. David countered, bread's moral when it feeds all. Exclusion starves the soul. Crowd leaned his way. Applause thunderous. Tommy returned. Slunk in shadows. Seeking amends. No, a plea bargain. Forced by evidence. He cornered Alex at the farm. Tell David I'm sorry. Alex relayed. Wary. David met him at neutral ground, the diner. Tommy. Hollowed. Mumbled regrets. Hates of bad recipes, ours everything. David nodded. Start fresh. But earn it. Tommy left. Steps tentative toward redemption. As leaves peaked crimson. Wedding day arrived. Fields golden. Guests circled. Jamie's voice rang. David. Do you rise with this man? I do. Rings exchanged. Kisses sealed under arches of wheat. Reception feasted, multi-tiered cake. Flavors of their journey spiced. Sweet. Resilient. Dances swirled. Hargrove twirling Evelyn. Laughter healing. Moon rose full. David and Alex slipped away. Hands linked. To us. Alex toasted with stolen champagne. David's heart. Full as a risen loaf. Whispered agreement. Winter's hush settled. Snow muffling Elmwood's pulse. Rise and Need glowed like a Yule log. Windows aglow with gingerbread villages double Elmwoods. Complete with tiny pride flags. David and Alex honeymooned locally, cabin in the hills. Fires crackling. Bodies entwined in flannel sheets. Our forever starts here, Alex murmured, tracing wedding band. David smiled. Content. But visions stirred off families. Perhaps. Adoption whispers. Back. Duties resumed. Memoir tour whisked David coast to coast, NYC readings to packed cafes. LA panels on queer entrepreneurship. Fans enveloped him, hugs. Recipes swapped. One night in San Francisco, a trans elder gifted a locket for the boy you saved in yourself. Tears fell. He called Alex. Voice homesick. Hurry back. Ovens miss you. Laughter bridged miles. Local ripples, Columbus Outpost opened. Rainbow ribbon cut by mayor. Youth from Elmwood staffed it. Pride swelling. But backlash bid. A state bill threatened protections. Rallies rising. David testified in Columbus. Voice steady amid suits. Bakers feed bodies. Acceptance feeds spirits. Don't criminalize love. His words, amplified by Doc fame, swayed votes bill stalled. Hargrove rallied. Cane a scepter. He mentored a class for seniors. Golden loaves for arthritic hands. Evelyn baked beside. Her lemon bars a staple. Family dinners weekly, table groaning. Stories seasoning stew. One evening, Hargrove raised glass to David me redemption. Emotion choked the room. David clinked. Forgiven fully. Alex's farm innovated, queer-led co-op. Workers from marginalized folds. They hosted Harvest Hearts. Dinners funding center programs. David catered. Their partnership seamless farm to fork. Heart to heart. A shadow loomed, David's health. Exhaustion crept. Checks revealing burnouts, toll adrenal fatigue. Doc said, rest. Or crumble. Alex enforced slowdowns, delegated shifts to Jamie. Now manager. We've built a team. Alex insisted. Massaging tense shoulders. David yielded. Reclaiming joy in small bakes, experimental sourdoughs fed by their starter. Named Union. Spring bloomed defiant. Camp 3, international flavor. Kids from Canada. Mexico. Cultural exchanges tacos turned tortoise. Loaves laced with lime. A boy from Texas shared conversion therapy scars. Group baked unbreakable buns. Tough crusted. David facilitated. His own firing a touchstone. Shame needs us tender than strong. Anniversary neared. Alex planned surprise. Hot air balloon over fields. Dawn lifting like dough. Baskets held picnic his peach cross data. David's heart. Aloft. World small below. Alex knelt anew. Kids someday. David gasped yes. Visions of little hands in flower. Summer scorched. But solidarity cooled. National chains sued trademark on Rise, but David's story prevailed. Judge citing spirit over syntax. Victory party, block bash. Bands and breads. Even Deacon danced. Barriers baked away. Fall's equinox brought news, Evelyn pregnant. No adoption papers for a foster teen. Riley's brother. Shy artist. Family expanded. Bakery annex a playroom. Festival grandeur, kneel for bread stage. Testimonials. Tommy spoke. Sober 6 months, David showed mercy I didn't deserve. Applause cleansed. As frost nipped, David reflected, from fired to family, shame to sustenance. Alex beside, hand warm. Our loafs just proofing. The years cycled eternal. Elmwood a tapestry woven tight. Rise and need franchised organically pods in queer havens. Recipes guarded but spirits shared. David authored Needed Truths, a guide blending advocacy and aprons. Tours blended baking demos. Crowds kneading alongside. One in Chicago. A fan proposed to his partner on stage. David iced their impromptu cake. Tears blurring script.